Hey everybody from the world headquarters of Preston Flat, from the catacombs, from the bowels of Preston Flat, if you will. I welcome you to today's video. Today we're going to talk about how prayer can be ruined. Did you ever have somebody say, well man, you haven't studied and prayed enough? If you just keep praying more, then you'll know that what I'm telling you is right. So you're either praying over and over again and with whatever results you're getting, right? Or else something inside of you just registers that what's the sense of praying over something that I know isn't even as it's being presented, you know? So there's this idea that if you'll only pray, you'll only study, you'll only be more diligent in this area of asking God, then you'll know that what I'm telling you is right. And if you don't come to that realization, well, it's just because you weren't in tune with God, you weren't diligent enough. It was some kind of a failing on the person's part, and it couldn't possibly be because the thing you're praying about is less than accurate or made up or wrong or something like that. Once I heard this person talk about, if you were going to describe what a dog is like, I think it was Sandra Tanner in one of her talks, if you had someone describe what a dog was like, right? They'd say, well, it has 4 legs, it has a tail, it has fur, it has 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, 2 ears, and all like that. So you'd go right down the list and describe it, right? So you get done. So you go down the list and you describe what this creature is that you're supposed to guess, and then they pull out from behind a wall a cat, and they say, "See, it's a dog. Look, it's got 4 legs. It's got a tail. It's got eyes, a nose, 2 ears, and everything." But just because they bring out something that somehow is close to matching that description, there still is a point where it either is what it is or it isn't. And you could pray about that forever. God, please just tell me that this animal is actually a dog. You know, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm studying, I'm doing all that I can. I'm still not really convinced that it's a dog. And it's because it's a cat, you know. So today we're looking at this concept of if prayer is used in that way, which I view as like a improper way, then does that sour a person on prayer altogether? I mean, so that's almost like an abuse of prayer, right? Yeah, you're supposed to pray. You don't get the answer I say you're going to get is because of your own failings. Maybe you're not praying correctly and all of this. In the meantime, you're just so diligent trying to fit this square peg into a round hole. And it's just not working. And you're trying over and over again. You're praying. And so in the world of religion, there's this idea that, yeah, if you'll just study like you're supposed to, if you'll just read and pray and not be a slacker, maybe get your life in tune with God so that you can come to the same conclusion that I've come to, then you will have arrived. And until you arrive at that point, man, I don't know what to say. It's almost like studying scriptures and praying is being misused. But the thing is, if it wasn't being misused in that way, what if you really had a treasure book of scripture that you could read, and it would just simply bless your life and be inspiring and be wonderful, and it wouldn't be ruined by someone placing onto it some ulterior motive to get you to see things their way, or to get you to sign up into their program so that you can fully pay all kinds of tithing or whatever, some kind of offering, depending on what religion or what tradition it was. And until you arrive at that point, well, you've just been a slacker. You haven't prayed enough. You haven't read the scriptures enough. And maybe someday you'll spiritually evolve to see things, well, maybe not even the way that I do, but at least the way that our inspired leader who talks to God, in alignment with what that person has said, whoever she or he may be. So, man, I guess it's a short message today, but what I wanted to say to you is that scripture reading and prayer is super valuable when it hasn't been ruined by people that are trying to oppress you and get you to fit into like a square peg into a round hole, or convince you that something that isn't what it is, that it actually is that way. And you have your discernment, you have your subconscious mind, you have just everything about you it's almost like a radar. You can just sense if things are on track or off track. Much as you would like them to be, maybe in alignment with some other spiritual genius's proclaimed teachings. Man, maybe that's barking up the wrong tree. Maybe it's not a dog at all, but it's a cat, and you're right, and you knew that right from day one. And so, in other words, instead of wasting your time trying to figure out how this thing could be the way they're saying it is, and no matter what you do, no matter how much you fast or pray or read scriptures or cry or do all the sacrifices that you're going to do to try to see things in the same way that somebody made things up to be. Man, instead of that, if you never even go through that, if you just start with a blank slate and you just have a beautiful book of scripture, I'm telling you the results are going to be different. You can read that and just have it mean what it means. Have it say what it says. Have it distill upon your soul in the way that it does. And not because when it does, and that means you're supposed to join my program and you're supposed to pay in a great percentage of your income for the rest of your life, and you're supposed to do whatever we say and all of this. All those ulterior motives that these different people have in their respective organizations or churches. This also is a generic message, because there are a lot of different groups and churches and philosophies in life that misuse this idea of praying. But I'm saying, man, don't let them ruin it for you. Just because they're having you pray about a bunch of BS and you can't figure it out, it doesn't make sense to you even after all that effort, that doesn't mean it's not good. It is good. If anything, it means that once it dawns on you, you can just turn from that BS and apply it toward loving God, apply it toward devotion, praying and studying scripture, and really get spiritual value out of it from somebody that's not trying to use you or some of those weirdos in some of those organizations. Man, why can't they all be like the rest of us? Just normal people. Isn't that right, Artie? Oh, yes, that's right. No, man. Would you mind liking and subscribing to my videos? Thank you.